You are listening to the Mary Jane Society podcast, where you will meet entrepreneurs, cultivators, scientists, doctors, and inventors in the cannabis industry.
I'm your host, Pam Chmiel, marketer and publicist in the cannabis industry. Is connected TV ready for the cannabis industry? Today, I interview Steve Peterson. He's the president of Citizen Green TV, a new interactive streaming channel available on the Roku TV network that operates on blockchain technology. Steve talks about the content they're curating, advertising opportunities for brands, and their focus on educating the public on cannabis health, wellness, and industry education. Listen in to hear how Steve is taking the industry to a new level in mainstream media.
Give us an introduction into what is Citizen Green and who's the team behind it, and then we'll go into the specifics of what everybody wants to know.
Thanks for having me on your channel, Mary Jane Society. I think it's great. So my name is Steve Peterson. I'm with a company called GCAC, which stands for Global Compliance Applications Corp. We're a Canadian company, publicly traded under the ticker symbol CSE.app. And the reason why we're here today is frankly because I look at what's going on with, the cannabis industry as well as technology. And one of the things I think we would all agree is that video is becoming a much more important tool in all of our lives. And when we see how many people have mobile phones that can stream, and frankly, for advertisers, this is becoming an effective way for them to share their message and their story. And so that drove us to help those brands tell their story using this new technology called connected television. And what simply means connected television is the ability to deliver content from one server to a server or to your mobile phone or to your smart TV. So Citizen Green was created to help reach consumers that are, in my opinion, really searching for more information about cannabis and CBD. I mean, health and wellness is such a big aspect of our community. And I feel like there's so many great stories we can tell through this medium. And so that created this opportunity that we decided, for us as a technology company, how can we leverage our technology to support, streaming TV and make it more interactive between the consumer and the content provider.
So you had to buy a license to be able to provide a channel on the Roku or these streaming services, connected TV. Is that how that works?
Yeah. So, one of the questions you were asking is, what are some of the challenges, right, at getting involved in this? And so we started with, first off, I got introduced earlier this year to a channel called Weed and Whiskey TV based out of Dallas. And they had done a great job in creating a following, though it was a niche following. And about more around the lifestyle of cannabis. And they had good music and entertainment shows and movies and things of that nature. They also had 142,000 people that at one point in time had signed up to see their content. So for us, it was a great entryway to get into this space. And that became some of the building blocks. So we recently acquired Weed and Whiskey TV. So that gave us, in effect, a head start on this game plan. The second thing is the whole strategy for us has been now, how do we make it less niche, as the name implies with Weed and Whiskey? And frankly, that's in your face, poking the bear in the eye, I would say, in terms of trying to be traditional advertising, right? So we rebranded it to the name called Citizen Green TV. And that was important to us because Citizen Green not only emphasizes the veterans in our community, but also it allows us to talk about topics around sustainability and some other things that, as we know with the cannabis plant, has such a wide range of practical uses when you get involved not only with the medicine, but also you get into things like industrial hemp and now also the CBD world. So that became some of our foundation pieces that we're looking at. And we just completed the rebranding on that. one of the things that it'll also allowed us to do is to relaunch Weed and Whiskey on a whole new platform, streaming platform. So there are companies that provide streaming software platforms. And so we did an agreement with a company that gave us a Netflix type tool to be able to air and show our content to the audience. So, and that was important because it extended our reach. So where Weed and Whiskey was just on Roku and via web app, now we're not only on Roku, we're moving into Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV. We're getting a Android and an Apple app, plus we have web viewing. So it immediately increased our addressable audience versus this little niche that was on Roku. And it was important. That's where the rebranding came in mind, because when I'm submitting to an Apple or any of these other networks, our goal was how can we go to them and say, hey, we're going to be the #1 health and wellness related network that talks about cannabis and CBD and psychedelics and these other products in a way that the consumer that is important to them, and hopefully will rank us even higher on their channel ratings to get us more organic viewers. And then finally, the biggest thing is and I come from a broadcast background. I spent 11 years at American Broadcasting Company and a couple of years at HarperCollins in various financial roles. And we were just chatting. One of my first audit clients when I was in public accounting right out of college was a little company on Long Island, startup called Cablevision. And so a lot of this stuff I remember getting involved with and auditing and doing that. So that was my background in terms of how this all came together. But to build vibrant content, I felt like I was building a mall. And to do that, I had to get really key tenants like the Macy's and the Nordstroms of the world into the mall. And we were able to do that with bringing on board, for example, Pro Cannabis Media. People would know them as Weed Talk News. They recently rebranded to be called Coast to Coast News. And they have over 1 million views of their content. We also added a company called Grunt Style. And this was the key thing around our veteran messaging. Grunt Style is a t-shirt company started by vets out of San Antonio. And they have been very successful companies. In fact, most of the military community know them and even subscribe to their 3 shirts a month t-shirt plans. But they've also, as part of their legacy, they've created a group called the Grunt Style Foundation, and they are and continue to create a ton of content. They have a whole library of content that they're bringing over to the Citizen Green TV network. So, with that, then the pieces fell in place where all of a sudden now I'm filling out the stores in the mall where a lot of diverse content, right? A lot of things, everything from music to movies to podcasts to entertainment to education to live events. Frankly, I'm getting to the point right now where I think we have almost 700 titles in our network. Mary Jane Society recently obviously joined for our business channel. So we have a dedicated business to B2B channel for advertisers. But it's been in that evolution, but I feel like we built it on some solid foundation pieces and applying basic, how do we drive content and frankly, the followers that come along with those influencers. It's an influencer world. And a lot of our influencers have over 500,000 followers. So now, and the other piece too, I was surprised when I was getting into it, how many people are in what I call YouTube silos. So they have podcasts on YouTube and they maybe have 100 followers. That's great. But now I'm putting them in the mall where the traffic is in front of them, where people are going to not only see the top shows, they're going to be able to see this show and others, and create more awareness and more, frankly, revenue opportunities for those podcasts.
And then you also mentioned that you have an app that's coming out. So if I wanted to put this on my phone, I could, and I was really interested in this content. Wow, that's really amazing. That's great. So what are the restrictions like as of today for cannabis businesses to advertise on a Citizen Green channel?
Sure. Well, let's paint the picture and step back a little bit on it. So, certainly mainstream TV advertising is highly restricted, right? and a number of ways, and certainly cannabis and cannabis-related products are just not going to fly on traditional TV, and a large part of that is due to the FCC. Okay, FCC controls those airways. They basically control what they call linear TV or radio. Okay, which could be over the air or cable television. But what they don't control is the streaming or connected device television. So as I was mentioning earlier, connected device means it's server to server or server to your PC or a smartphone or connected to a smart TV. And when you look at the rapid expansion of smart TVs, everybody now, every TV you buy is either Samsung or Roku enabled, right? In fact,
Yep.
Fire TV has over 200 million downloads, purchases of their Fire Sticks, that people now use to connect to streaming. So what that means is connected TV or streaming TV is more available for everybody, and especially with people cutting the cord, that's huge. So the FCC doesn't govern connected TV. Now, that means we can have advertising for cannabis brands or CBD brands on the thing. Now, there's some guidelines. I mean, we've set up some guardrails so that we don't get into, any issues or concerns, right, for all of us, right? And some of those are making sure there are no false and misleading statements, right? I mean, that's an obvious, you would think. But, I think, transparency really has to be forefront, even in these mediums,
And that's kind of a problem with the new hemp derived D9 products. I mean,
Mhm.
it really is against the law. They're skirting. I mean, technically it's not, but they're skirting the law. So like, is that something that maybe you're talking about, like the Delta 9 products?
Yeah, basically, they can't make really any health and wellness claims, right?
Okay.
But
Usually.
also, I think unfortunately, is a term a couple of years ago, that stuck with me is greenwashing. Okay, and what we in fact we created a product where, again, I mentioned earlier, we're a blockchain company, right? And so we have our own Ethereum layer 2 network, which allows us to evidence a brand story so that you can see how this fits into what we're doing. We talked earlier about storytelling, right? So when somebody scans your product, like for example, I'm just picking a box off my desk, right? Um, People want to know what's the story behind this brand, okay? And a lot of times, because of packaging rules, they can't put it all on the box, right? And frankly, a lot of this, as we know, is sold behind the counter, right? So it's hard for the consumer to engage. But picture an environment where all of a sudden they can scan a QR code, get taken to a page where the brand can talk about how they grow it. It's organic. What's their principles? It's a women-owned business. They're very active in the community. They donate to it's allowing the consumer to shop their values in a way that is more than just the box on the counter, right? And so that's an example where we can help them improve their story. And frankly, even when we introduced that product to the industry, we saw a lot of people saying yes, 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 until they realized what the requirements are to share the truth, of what they're doing and how they're sourcing and everything else.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, that's why we have these lab reports. So so do you mean that you would show a QR code on the TV and somebody could scan that and go right?
And that's the beauty of video on demand, basically, is what we're talking about, right? Is the ability somebody can pause and say, wow, I really want to engage with this. I can scan that. I can offer a coupon. That's the other thing the blockchain does. We have a product called the Fixie Uplift, which is a coupon. So not only am I advertising to you, I'm showing a brand. So we can have an ad insert into this show that says, hey, I want to learn more about that product or get $5 off. Great. I download it into my e-wallet. We're not asking the consumer to provide their name, phone number, or any information about them. They just download, they have an e-wallet. Now, when I go to redeem that coupon, we would know how it was redeemed, where it was redeemed, and that's all information that gets shared with the brand. It also allows the brand to create a relationship with that customer. They can say, hey, here's another coupon. Here, here's other things. So the acquisition cost of a customer goes down because you have this communication link with that consumer. And that's an important part. And that's where we saw the merging of the technology with the media, right? Video helps communicate the story. Everybody wants to watch a video, and video is great for sharing, right? Video is, everybody thinks it can go viral very quickly. If you share a great message, people will pass videos all over the place, right? Well, it's the same thing with our technology. Now, all of a sudden, they can have a coupon or something about the brand that they can also share, right, and move. So it's a great way to acquire for a brand to acquire a customer, and that was really what made it sing for us. So.
Yeah, and is the reason that the company chose to build this platform with blockchain technology, was it because of tracking ad ROI, or are there other reasons? Like, what are the reasons for the blockchain?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So we started as a B2B company, right? And we were offering brands and companies a way to do track and trace and things of that other nature. We created an app that had a consumer interface. And so for us, when you look at if you created an app, say the Mary Jane app, and you want consumers to download it, it's going to cost $5-10 million to get enough mentions out there for people to download an app, and then you have to convince them why they want to download the app, even if you reach them. By embedding ourselves into the content, now we're getting consumers start to use our product. We're going to demonstrate and put it to work. So there's no thinking. They've already trusted the information they're receiving. Now they want to engage with it, and this allows us to do it using our technology. So it was a natural fit, So the video drove the interaction, right, and creating the loyalty, right, with that consumer. So.
Right. No, I love, the blockchain technology for the track and trace, and for, and that's what the advertisers are going to want. So how, I know that you have a veteran messaging component to Citizen Green. So how do you plan on advertising and getting Citizen Green off the ground, so to increase the volume on top of what you've already accumulated from
Sure.
these influencers? Yeah.
Yeah. So the key thing is as I mentioned earlier, our influencers that we currently are working with have over 500,000 followers. Okay. So we're creating an environment where influencers I've got it all. I mean, most of my day now, I feel like I'm spending time with new shows, such as, this one here, getting them on board and started up. That's going to help us organically because and in fact, we even created a media guide, right, where we're asking everybody to share their social media handles and everything else, because when we promote, we want to, hey, we just dropped today these 3 shows, put it on their networks and create the buzz. Okay. We're also giving, I'm also very sensitive to the talent in terms of how do I help them in other ways to monetize. Okay. And this isn't, remember, they might have like a following on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is, but I'm hoping that we're going to be the predominant place that they're going to promote from. And one of the things we're doing is we're going to even enable their followers and their fans to buy swag that they see on air. Okay, so on-demand printing is going to be incorporated so they can do that, right? The other piece is, as soon as we launched this network, I was getting called by agents who represent clients, corporate clients, who want to get their clients on podcasts like this. Right. And they're willing to pay to get on, because they want to see a professional environment where their clients are being interviewed and ask questions like this, to share with their audience. Right. So there's ways and then we have so those are the organic ways that we can do it very inexpensively. The other ways is, for example, our relationship with Grunt Style, and even with Weed and Whiskey. I mean, our goal is, they have a following, and in fact, they do a number of events during the course of the year. So we're going to be front and center in terms of how we're talking like with Grunt Style, a couple of events that they're attending, and how we can be participants in it, and then even tie in, for example, if we're in Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple of weeks, how we can tie in couponing with a local dispensary that leverages our technology. So if we're at a veteran event, we can have then the consumer say, hey, listen, you want this product? You can go down to the dispensary and here's how you can redeem it for veterans. So that's a predominant piece of how we're going to do it. We also, I think that's that's enough for now. But
Oh,
we're very excited, as you can tell, and
yeah,
we're looking
yeah.
at how we, organic email campaigns and the traditional advertising things is how we're promoting our awareness and our brand. So.
But I mean, I guess I answered my own question was, and you did earlier, is having all these, company or brands come on and bring their followers with them. So that makes a lot of sense. You're just making a very robust channel.
And in fact, even for the tools for that, for example, even when a podcast comes on, we have all these shared capabilities, right? In terms of social media links, but we also can embed content back onto the influencer's website as well. So they
Mhm.
can see the show. So I like this recording, I can give you an embed code that you can put on your website. You know what I
Ah,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah, right. Yeah. So this
so
channel
we
is
create the links, right?
right.
And link sharing is a huge part, as you know, of traffic, right? So.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, but as
Mhm,
far as the veteran messaging goes, I
mhm.
feel like that's kind of a niche group, as far as, the cannabis industry. So how is that, I mean, I feel like there's so many people out there, the general public wants to learn about this and this, all the different types of content that you have. So how is that playing into the whole messaging?
Yeah, no, and that's an important question to answer. When we look at the veterans, right? Uh, Everybody in the cannabis industry, and I ran 3 dispensaries, before I got into this on the West Coast, and everybody has a sweet spot for the veterans and the journey that they're going on. And for us, we're communicating the story through the veterans' journey. Okay. But it doesn't mean we're strictly related. We're only focusing on veteran content. We're focused on health and wellness. And so for me, looking at the demographics out there, for example, one of the fastest growing segments on streaming TV is the 50 plus. And so for me, they're canna-curious because they're all sitting there with their row of pills, like I have on my desk, right, that I got to take throughout the course of the day. And for them, they're trying to figure out what are the things that I can learn, right? And so the content is just, some of it is specific veteran stories, things of that nature, which creates that community, right?
Mm.
But it's also about the plant and how do we educate people about what terpenes mean and how to properly use this, how to cook it. I'm adding a couple of cooking segments, onto the podcast and how to use it in practical life. So, and I think that message will resonate with a lot of the audience. So it also allowed us for advertisers to have a niche and really start saying, hey, listen, here's a profile of what it means to be a veteran, right? Here's their average income level. Here's the breakdown male, female. Here's their household income. And also don't forget, it's always not been just about the vet, it's about their family, it's their community that supports them and surrounds them as well. We're all touched by this stuff. And unfortunately, they've taken the major hit or the impact dealing with PTSD and some other issues. And frankly, also Grunt Style, as an example, is expanding their reach not only with veterans but to first responders in terms of reaching that what they call uniform services audience. So
Mm.
that's how we're going to be balancing it all. So we feel it's a great demographic. It will help us differentiate in the
Mhm.
health and wellness world,
Mhm.
but also how we're tagging it around plant healing. I think that's a natural combination that we can make and present in an environment that would pass most advertising agencies and or media companies network guidance reviews. So.
So since since the cannabis industry attracts so many, people from age, 21
Mhm.
onward, I mean, I feel like a lot of the people who are going to be really curious and want to be educated and learn more about the industry, are like 40 and above. And of course, a lot of people in the industry talk about the untapped market, 50 and above. And I can really, see
Mhm.
any people in this group, like the AARP, gang,
Yeah,
being
no,
very
no. In fact, yeah, the Gen Z is rapidly growing. I read a number by Headset recently. It's, I think, year over year growth is 11%. is the number in terms of how fast they're growing and frankly, growing also on streaming channels, right?
Right, right,
You know,
right.
I'll share with you a couple of things. I mean, the when we look at traditional media versus the streaming world, 46% of the population right now is using streaming television. Okay, by 2026, it's supposed to be like 55%. So that it's the cat's out of the bag. People are cutting the cords and everything else. That's why we had that merger we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in 2024, I'm just going to read a stat.
Yeah.
Brands spent 30 billion on streaming advertisement versus 60 billion on traditional TV. All right. Um, Streaming TV is supposed to reach programmatic ad spend is expected to reach 24 billion in 2024, an increase of 23% from the prior year. So this is definitely a demographic. And then the key thing we were mentioning earlier, consumers, 39% of consumers are sharing videos that they see on these streaming channels because again, they can pause it, they can interact with it, they can share it, you know.
Oh, what is the statistic? You said 30.
39% are more likely to share, video
Oh,
content than any other content.
I'm,
So
I'm,
video,
yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation with a business channel yesterday, and they produced 18 videos so far, and on YouTube they have 18 subscribers. Okay, but where they're seeing also their biggest lift is on LinkedIn. You know, or
Mm.
so that's where they're getting the bang. So they're recognizing as a content strategy, they're having to change their delivery methods, right? And video is becoming more and more important.
Right, right. So as far as tracking, like, and I
Mhm.
think we kind of talked about this earlier, but so if I wanted to advertise on your channel on
Mhm.
Citizen Green,
Mhm.
um, I assume the blockchain is going to be very important in proving the ROI for these advertisers because I know I don't know a lot, but I have read that some of the programmatic advertising for this, new connected TV world is, people are apprehensive advertisers because of not being able to track the ROI. So is
Yeah.
blockchain a platform people are using to solve this problem? And is that how you're going to be able to?
It can be. There's a term in blockchain called a smart contract. Okay. And a smart contract is a deal. And we know about it. We don't have it in the current thing right now, but it allows then an execution of an event based on a transaction based on the contract where, for example, somebody redeems that coupon, the store gets immediately reimbursed by the creator of the coupon. And in fact, that's an example of what would be smart contract, though it's not officially that right now. Way we're looking at this network is the way we present content. First off, is where we are today. Is we're presenting content like a Netflix style. So we're already capturing, and as we've been onboarding, your shows, we've been asking you for like keywords, right? And so, like Netflix, when a consumer goes in and they start clicking on shows, they'll get recommended to see other shows that they like. Okay,
Oh, right. Mhm.
okay. And so as we move forward, again, and it's not here today, hopefully, I'm hoping in a year's time or less that we can have something like this. We can also then drive in related ads that meet those kind of keywords. So in other words, just serving, if, for example, if I don't like to smoke, don't give me ads about smoking products,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Right? If I prefer gummies, give me more ads around gummies, right? Things of that nature, right? And
Right.
start learning that profile of that viewer to serve up the right content for them. Okay. So that's where we see it all going. Okay. But today I got to deal with what I have. And what I have right now is we can give a viewer, and again, I'm used to the broadcasting logs that were set up, right, with major networks, is we can get the number of views, impressions, what ads were served up, and in what programs. Okay. And I can also pick up information about what device they used and where they were in the world. Okay. When they saw this ad. Okay. So for right now, that's what I'm dealing with in terms of doing that. So the advertiser would be able to get you got 3,000 views on your ad. It aired in these programs, and these are the device types that the viewer got, and they were mostly in the US or some in Canada or in Europe. Okay, this is an international platform. Okay, for example, we just added a show on industrial hemp, building homes from Australia. So,
Cool.
yeah, so hopefully I'll bring in some of the from their marketplace into this ecosystem. So hopefully I answered your question on that, but in
Yeah,
terms,
yes. And I think also, the click-through rate, clicking through is not normal for connected TV, but by now it's going to be normal in the future for everyone.
oh yeah, in fact, we've already have gotten a taste. I'll share with you and I'll tell you what we're doing right now. If somebody's watching this and they like your shirt or my shirt, and they hover over with their mouse on your shirt, we get a shopping cart to appear that would show where they can buy that shirt.
Ah, geez, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, crazy smart. You know what I mean?
Crazy smart. Yes, exactly.
Now, even when we talk about advertising, right? And I'll use this as an example, okay? We talk about impressions and then we talk about engagement, right? And this is one thing that we keep in mind. So this is technically, if we were sitting here and all of a sudden this started type ads, products flew past us, that's effectively an impression, right?
Hmm.
What we're doing with the coupon, if you think about it, and the QR code, is we're making the person stop and engage. Well, now that touch point is worth a lot more because
Yes.
they took the time to scan that and put it on a device on their phone, right? And then they can choose or not choose later to use that coupon, right? But that's how we're trying to use our technology to have the audience engage with the advertiser, which is not available anywhere else, right? If you notice, like with magazines, everybody's going QR codes. That's great because they want to take them off the page and into into their website, right? The same thing with this medium is we have that ability to deliver that kind of touch, and that's the highest engagement rate. So that number could be up to $40, engagement, right? In terms of customer acquisition. But again,
Right.
as I mentioned earlier, once they've engaged and they've downloaded the coupon into their e-wallet is what we provide, okay?
Mhm.
You don't technically your customer, it becomes now customer loyalty, right? And how do we keep them engaged without you're not having to acquire them again? You already have them, right?
Yeah.
Versus advertising is shooting, hoping that it's going to find people, and then it keeps shooting and it's hitting the same people 2 or 3 times, right? And so this is a way to zero in on your audience very quickly.
And I'm not sure how it would work actually, but is there, if I was an advertiser,
Mhm.
I guess would those coupons be my retargeting, or does that even work in connected TV? I don't even know like how to
Yeah.
retarget people.
Yeah,
I'm not.
no, it could be. Your question is a really good one. I mean, there is technology out there that we can use, okay, that would help with the retargeting, okay, and we can embed it even into the video itself. For example, like so, if they're clicking on that show about cooking, right? That we could help hopefully use that in retargeting. And we haven't gotten into it at the moment, right? But that
Oh,
would be the goal, right? Is
right, right.
then serve them when they hit Facebook, that all of a sudden then on Facebook they're going to see the fact that it's like me. I recently booked a trip. Well, all of a sudden I'm getting hotels, car rentals,
Right, because they're
people pay
returning.
dearly for those. I mean, because they know it works. They know they have an audience that was looking for something,
Mhm.
right? Or engage with something. And that becomes a powerful driver for follow-up engagement. So,
So as far as the technology, when
mhm,
the QR code comes up and
mhm.
so I press on the QR code and then I want to buy something, and you said it would go into my wallet. So is that another step that I have to do when uh, so you get the information off my phone, I guess, right? You're grabbing that data on my phone.
Well, so what happens is when you download a coupon, okay, you're in effect downloading what's called an e-wallet, okay?
Okay.
But what we know, the only thing we know is the e-wallet ID. That's it. We don't know is Pam. We don't know, Pam is in this city or that state. You know what I mean? Don't know
Okay.
any of that, right? So it's no different, like kind of like the Apple Wallet when you scan and you have your event tickets on there, or things of that nature, right? What we will know though is if that coupon was redeemed. So what would happen is the consumer, let's just say, then walks into the store, scans the QR code of the retailer, and it transfers electronically the value of that $10 off coupon to the retailer's wallet, right? And then the retailer gives the discount, okay? And then frankly, then once that's connected, then the creator of the coupon then automatically reimburses the brand, the retailer, I should say.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I guess kind of winding down,
Uh-huh.
can you throw out costs to advertise on the channel? Like if I was a brand and wanted to come to you and
Mhm.
consider this?
Yeah, no, a couple things. And for this is for advertisers and content providers too. I'll talk about this first, but the way we're monetizing is twofold. One is one of the technology that we have on this platform is we also now have pay-per-view capabilities. So, for example, we did an event in Southeast Ohio at the end of July. It was a concert. Well, next year we're hoping we could stream it because only so many people could attend the event, right? But that doesn't mean there's a whole world of population wants to view it remotely, through our app. Okay. We can also put content behind a paywall. Okay. So if somebody wants a premium event and they have a guest special speaker, whatever it is, it's $5. We can set that up also for an advertiser or content company. All right. So the way we're monetizing is very simply, we have in effect the ability to create a title sponsor for an advertiser, where, for example, brought to you by, this show is brought to you by Omaha Mutual or whatever, and have that lay in on top and get also a number of ads. By the way, on ads, we can insert ads in what's called a pre-roll, mid-roll, or post-roll. So in the show, okay? So that's kind of how we deal with the advertising,
Okay.
and rules. Um, we also can help people who want to place people on podcasts like this. Okay, so some of these talent agents, they come out, they want to get an appearance on a show or appear live in a studio. We have studios available now in Dallas and in St. Louis where they can be recorded and interviewed by
Ah,
guests.
okay.
So that we have that. We have event sponsorship. But getting to your question on ads, we have two types of ads. We have in effect, a flat rate. It could be like, listen, I appeared on this show, so I want to buy an ad for this show. Okay, because I know it's dedicated material, the whole bit, right? So we have an ad that starts basically at $100. Okay, that will be placed onto that show. So not going to break the bank.
Yep.
On display art advertising, traditional, we have a CPM model, cost per 1,000 impressions, right? And so typically, if we were to reach, it's $25 per 1,000 impressions. So if we deliver 3,000 impressions in the beginning, you owe us $75, right, for it. So again, very in effect, a very low price to get engaged with an audience, and frankly, even associate your brand with certain content, right? And I think that helps lift. You see a lot more brands are now doing, like Beard Brothers and others are doing their own podcasts because they're trying to associate their brands with content, right?
Right. Right.
And so here you've got a whole diverse lineup of content that will allow us to do that. The Affixi coupons, the way we monetize that is very simple. If you create a $10 coupon and that's redeemed, okay, it's only on redeemed, you owe us 30% of that coupon value. So that includes the creation of the coupon, placement of the coupon, and then in effect the transaction, okay, itself.
Right.
So, and
Right.
then we
All
offer,
different things that people could
yeah, so
part.
all different things and all different budget types, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, if I want my name on this show, I can run an ad, right? If I want just to get a broader range of topics, say on just our business channel or on an entertainment channel, we can do that as well. Okay, and we can place those ads to appear. So,
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. I feel like we're ready for Citizen Green CTV, connected
Mhm.
TV. This is the next step in our, the evolution of our industry to mainstream and get moving forward. And unless you have anything else to add, I feel like you've answered all the questions, and I think
Oh,
it's
you've been a
really,
great host. I appreciate it. And you know, I think it's one of those opportunities as we look forward. What I would love to be able to do, and we're not there yet, is I'd like to be able to also offer that person not only if they're engaging with the coupons and everything else, but I'd like to be able to say to them, hey, listen, I'm interested in buying that product. Where can I find it?
yeah.
Okay. Is it available online? Is it available because maybe I'm in a state that doesn't allow it? Okay. And so, the system will say that, right? But if I'm in a state that allows it, maybe direct me to the dispensary nearest me. A little bit of kind of like the Weed Maps example, right? Where we can help, drive those eyeballs directly to the retailer, right? To help them fulfill those orders or through online delivery or whatever is available in those locations. As we know, the rules of the states are also very different. For now, I think this is a great tool for multiple state operators to help get their message out and start creating brand awareness. Because as we know, they're in multiple states. They might not be known as well, and this is a great way to start building their story, their image, right, in a positive light. So people, when they walk into that store and ask, it's a good thing. I also would say, and I would challenge the industry as well, and I hear this here, in fact, even in Ohio, where I'm based, that, it's a great way, even like Ohio has a no advertising rule, right? But, and in fact, I was talking to a craft grower in the area, and he says he's getting squeezed out on the shelves by the MSO brands at the retailers,
Mhm.
okay? And I'm like, well, we need to educate the audience what it means to be craft. So,
Yes.
that's not advertising, that's education, right? So when the person walks into that store, they can say, I'm going to ask for craft products because I
Yeah.
saw this on Citizen Green TV and it told me about the care and the love they put into it. And it's a limited volume. And, so that's another example of how content can be used to share your message, share your story in a positive light that can engage an audience that's looking for information, that's looking for to feel the love and share the love.
Yeah, I mean, brand created content is so important to educate, and for all the reasons that you just said. I mean, this is the way, being in the industry, that's something I'm looking at and listening to all the time. But that
Mhm.
is how I am choosing which products to buy in New York State, where I'm located.
Mhm.
Absolutely based on the people that I'm, listening to on LinkedIn who are talking about their extraction methods, growing, organic, regenerative farming, all that stuff is really absolutely influencing my buying habits here in the
No, I'm
state.
glad you mentioned that because during the pandemic, I was a partner over at Trust Capital based in New York. And one of the things I was studying was the impact of shopping your values, is the term they use in the perfume industry. And they basically brands, and if you think about perfume and cannabis, very much same price, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Um, but what was happening is the brands and perfume industry was seeing that if they shared more about who they were and the fact that they were organic or they didn't use certain chemicals and things of that nature, that resonated more with the buyer. And so they saw a 37% increase in sales as a result of using the blockchain to share that information, right, about their story. Like nothing better than seeing the person in the field with their hands dirty, growing that plant, talking about why the soil. It's kind of like I lived in Northern California for a lot of years. So when you went to the winery, it was that experience. Like what makes this? It's the climate, it's the soil, it's the grape, the varietals, all that. That's a whole story
Mhm.
that we're as an industry not telling. And this
Yeah.
is a platform that will help do that and frankly evidence it, right? So you can say, hey, listen, we're fully transparent. And more the younger shoppers, I see it with my adult children now, they're in their 30s, where they make purchase decisions based on the fact that this organization supports PETA or this organization, does this. And, they're fine with spending a little bit more to create that impact. And I feel like the blockchain allows us to do that. This media platform allows us to share those stories. And that's where, again, getting back to what is allowed and not allowed, that's where we can make the most impact, right? In promoting cannabis and CBD. Again, we don't want it to be all about this. We want it to be all about the impact it's having in people's lives and the great story that's there. And people at home don't get a chance to share it, and they don't get a chance to see it. So.
And also, like you were saying earlier, the transparency on the quality of the product, because the industry is facing, a pretty, a dilemma that could go one way or the other with this whole hemp, these hemp derived products. We have, the honest people, but then we have, people who are bringing, distillate in from China or whatever,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that we don't know is what's going on in these products. So, and, Weed Maps got, in a lot of trouble from people in the industry, a lot of pressure from putting all these illegal smoke shops that carry these type of products onto their platform. So
Yeah.
I feel like, this is a great way to get the general public who is confused about all this kind of stuff, trust the industry more and the information that you're putting out there. And I think it's the responsibility really of Citizen Green to really do that, because now this is really mainstream. This is a mainstream platform, so I feel a really big responsibility that you could steer that narrative. So.